So once again, warm welcome. Hello, good afternoon, good morning sometimes as well. We have participants from all over the world. Warm welcome from my end to our first AI career webcast from Deloitte. I'm Jens. I'm located in Germany now since 10 years, working within Deloitte in the area of talent experience and attraction, and I'm overall the responsible person for the AI Career Webcast series. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome you today. And this webcast and webcast series is for you. So we prepared different sections to give you, I think, a really exciting mix of insights, business insights, but especially as well personal insights, career insights. And what is very important for me, uh, I would like to really invite you, use the opportunity to ask whichever questions career related, AI and Deloitte related you have. You have the chat Q&A function, and please use the opportunity as well during the different sections to ask questions, and we will have more than enough time at the end of the webcast to cover all those questions. That's it already from my end. And now I would like to introduce you to Sarah Becker, my respected colleague, our host and keynote speaker for today. Warm welcome and over to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Jens. Yeah, it's great to be here. I mean, you have decided to join us on this webinar, How Can We Trust AI? I will be your facilitator, moderator through this session, but I will not alone. There will be some of my colleagues coming up. They are from different parts of our business. We will dive on this later, and they are from from different parts of Europe. So we will be a very mixed very mixed crowd. And you see, this is what Deloitte stands for. Maybe a few words on myself. I'm a partner in at Deloitte Consulting, and when I look at AI and especially the trust aspects of AI, the ethical aspects of AI, I can proudly say that this is my day-to-day business, and I help our clients in many different industries and sectors how they can actually navigate through this, and with always the people in the focus. So what will happen today? First, here's the agenda for today. So first, I will just give you a little bit of an insight on how we view, what it means to navigate safe in the era of AI. What does that mean from a societal and corporate perspective? And then we will really share our experience that we have here in Deloitte with you. And this will not be done by me, but this will be done by colleagues who are coming from different businesses, as I say, and you will be already, you can be excited how different they look on this world and what are their different perspectives and backgrounds. And as Jens said before, please don't hesitate to ask questions. I know we are not all sitting in a room, we are sitting in a virtual room, and sometimes it's not that easy to break the ice, but please, someone of you do it, just ask your questions and we'll be happy to have it very interactively. And it's about you to do that. And afterwards, we have a dedicated time after also to answer questions, but we will see as it goes. So let's get started. I don't know so we can get started. I think there is a new way, or let's say there's a date. Ever since then, we count a different age. I don't know if you still know what you have done on a certain day in 2022, but I will relieve you very soon. There's one company or one tool that was introduced to the market, and in 5 days was able to generate 1 million users, and this was ChatGPT. I don't know if you have been one of the first million users that used it. I have not, But just to give you a perspective, to generate 1 million users, Netflix took 3.5 years and Facebook 10 months. So this 5 days is really something where we see a rapid change because AI, and especially Gen AI in this case, was now available for every one of us to use, not just for the specialists that have been there for a long, long time. So Gen AI is kind of where we count a different time. And if you look at the slide, you see a polarizing world. And this is actually what we face in the discussions in society, in the media, everywhere, that we see there's this part of people who say, okay, this is great. Everything is going to change. We're going to enhance humanity. We're going to enhance humanity, and we will use AI for good. AI for good means we can be so much more productive. We can create new value where we couldn't before, because these AI tools, they help us to actually enhance our human capabilities. From the perspective of a company, you see, okay, we will be better than others. If we use it, we will have a competitive advantage and we will be able to even grow our business. So this is the perspective that you see on the left-hand side of those who say AI for good is something is going to change massively. There's no way back and it will be great. On the other hand, you see, and this is another trend, a tendency, AI not for bad. What means these are more the very skeptical about AI and that it's not going to really help us to become better humans or to become better corporations. But we will not really be able to achieve what I just said before. So those who are from this perspective, they more take, the perspective of, okay, we have to mitigate the risk. We have to be careful. And all these discussions about we have to protect data, protect people from being exploited there. So this protection is a very, very strong tendency also in Europe. And we see this in companies that they say, oh, this is not allowed, we cannot do this. And they focus that they don't do harm, but they do not really experience. So these two polarizing worlds actually are enhanced. If you look on the next slide, we will see that in the media. The media is actually not helping in somehow balancing those two aspects. In fact, it's even more polarizing. So on the one hand side, you find, and we are now talking about Europe here, you will find those who say, oh, we cannot have a Wild West as we have it in the US, for example. We cannot have this here in Europe. We cannot have, we cannot fail it. We cannot make mistakes. If we make mistakes, we lose trust and we cannot do this. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of fear that we actually play along too hard, and we have this Wild West exploitation mode on. And on the other hand, again, the media, they are focused on the fear of missing out, the FOMO approach, where we say, okay, we here in Europe actually have no chance. The race is won by somebody else already. We cannot keep up in terms of speed, in terms of investments and everything in AI. So we are left behind. China is ahead of us. US is ahead of us. All the big tech players are ahead of us. And we are just here, wait and see, and we cannot do anything. So why am I emphasizing this so much to you? And why am I emphasizing the societal level, but also the media? Because this is really what is happening out there, and especially our clients that we talk to, that know us, Deloitte, as their trusted advisors in any kind of situation that changes in digital transformation. They know us as an advisor, as a trusted advisor. But something is different now with AI and Gen AI, and this is that there's a lot of fear and a lot of insecurity out there. And what happens when Deloitte talks to clients, meaning people talk to people, and we feel all these questions are in the room, and the the navigation of somebody in a company, a CDO, a chief digital officer, or someone in the board who has to make the strategic decisions, they are really struggling. So what can we actually do? So we will see, if you boil it down to one point, what's actually the question we'll see on the next slide. How in these times are we able to actually balance innovation and speed? On the one hand, when we are some kind of company today and we have a business model, how does AI change the way we do? How can we still be in the market in a few years from now, in a few months, in a few years from now, and be innovative and be on the forefront and be there? On the other hand, how can we control AI in our company in a way that it actually does not create mistrust or create fears? So it's very easy to name the problem, and the problem is that you have to balance innovation and control. It's very easy to name the problem, but it's not that easy to find a way and a solution, how you actually do it, what you need to do in order to be able to do that. So as we are talking today about trust, what is new? Digital, technological, new developments are not new for a very long time. But what's new now with this Gen AI, development is that we first see in the market that when you ask your clients, okay, have you already been using AI in your corporations, adopting it? We see that 80%, roughly 80% of those companies who are already using AI say that they have ethical concerns. So ethical concerns, the question is, what could that be? So if you then ask them, what are these ethical concerns probably are? Next slide, please. You see that they majorly say, okay, there's some kind of creepy feeling. We call this a creepy feeling. They don't really know, but they don't know how it actually will change how we work. On the other hand, there are these kind of major concerns with data protection, all that. This is the top of the iceberg. There's the discussion taking place. If you then take a closer look, we see that there's a huge mix and a variety of issues that people have that are easy in the category of creepy feelings, like we don't really know what's happening there, or could we be, for example, displaced? Will jobs be now done by AI? What about all those biases, racism that's in the algorithms? What's with surveillance? Probably we can all be tracked what we do. Are we, when machines take decisions, will we be missing empathy? Will we be dependent totally on technology? What about human agency, deep fakes, all this? So we would say these are creepy feelings and also concerns that you cannot really, they are there, but what you do with them. And on the other hand, these major concerns are more like really also legal aspects, data protection, intellectual property in the media. What happens when now everything is created with Gen AI? What happens to intellectual property, the artists, the creative? So there's a lot going on. We don't really know what's going on with the ownership and everything. So these are the answers that you get. But if we see then how companies are prepared on the next slide, we see that there's only 1 in 5 companies. Imagine 80% said we do have ethical concerns. I just showed you what ethical concerns could be, but just 1 in 5 says we have a framework in place that actually helps us to deal with this mix of various concerns that we do have. So where we can say there as Deloitte, what we see in the market is they are not really prepared, the companies are not really prepared for this kind of complex questions. So of course, we'll see that we can help them. Here you see our trustworthy AI framework. That is actually a way of structuring all these different issues that I had before. I will not deep dive on that because actually what it means in practice and how this comes to life, in the end, comes to us through the consultants. So we will now move on to our panel discussion with a few of my colleagues. So let me briefly introduce them. And please feel free. I don't see any questions yet in the chat. That's okay, but you can feel free to ask questions whenever you have. So first of all, we have Azita with us. Azita is a lawyer. She works in digital law, and she's from Deloitte Legal in Germany. And also welcome to me, please, Kevin. He's joining us from France, Deloitte, France. He's also in consulting. He's a senior manager in our AI and data practice. Then please also welcome Isabel. Isabel is a senior manager, especially focusing on AI ethics and governance in Deloitte, Germany. And we have Nuno joining us from Portugal. Hi, Nuno. Also from AI and D practice. He's a data engineer with deep tech expertise. So happy to have you here on the panel. So just, you have not been prepared for this, but just one word from you. I have showed dystopia and I have shown utopia. So very positive, very negative. So utopia and dystopia. Very quickly, Azita, what will the future be like? Utopia, dystopia?
Clearly utopia. Clearly.
Utopia. Thanks. Kevin, what will the future be like?
Sorry, I was in mute. I will say utopia, but knowing the dystopia, understanding it.
Perfect. Isabel, what will the future be like?
Both or neither one. So it's rather AI technology will be there very holistically, but hopefully we'll manage to keep the risks low.
Consulting answer. Nuno, what do you think? Utopia, dystopia. What will the future be like?
I would say preparing for utopia and avoiding dystopia.
How great. So guys, I'm talking, when I say guys, I mean all of you that are our participants. You know, we had this inspiring speech at the beginning. Now we're having a very authentic panel. So I can tell you, our panelists had not been prepared for this. And so now let's start and dive deeper a bit into what they actually do every day. Azita, I want to start with you because you stick out in a way that you are a lawyer and you're working as a consultant and you're helping clients. So you are a lawyer and now you're working in the field of AI. Please explain what that means for you in your day-to-day job.
Happy to. Well, yeah, as you've said, I'm a trained lawyer. I actually joined Deloitte Legal during my legal traineeship already. So it's all been about legal for me. And I have not been trained on AI. But I still do use AI basically every day and have adapted myself to that kind of. And yeah, that goes from finding a better wording for my email when I can't come up with any ideas at the time to, yeah, for example, in contractual work, I can also use the assistance of AI, like in digital law, besides the basic fields basically of IT, intellectual property, data protection. We also look at the newest EU regulation and have to implement these new requirements into the contracts of our clients. And for the first contract, for example, I had to do all that manually and go through the whole contractual framework. But then a colleague from Deloitte Consulting showed me a tool that he built that can basically do all the scanning and can help me in a way to be way more efficient and make my work easier. Of course, we also have to cross-check everything. So when I say utopia, we also have to make the utopia work, but it can make the life of a lawyer easier too.
So interesting. So Azita, you, as I understood it, you use the tools for what you have done before that without tools. So I guess you might be quicker, but then, as you said, you need to have a better quality review. Kevin, I know you are very, you understand when one of us in this round, Nuno also, you understand really what's behind it and you're not just a user of it. You already also know how to actually actually build something like that. But now I want to ask you, as you know how to build something like that, are you also using it, Gen AI, in your daily work today?
Yes, I'm using principally on two kind of way. The first one will be information gathering, and the other one for code assistance to build this kind of solution. For the first one, for information gathering, it's really difficult to find the right tools for that because you spoke about ChatGPT. It's very good for a lot of tasks, but not for information gathering because they are not trained for that. They're not trained to find that information and give you back this. You need to find good solution. For example, myself, I use Perplexity. The aim is to have some kind of web crawling that will permit to give you resources and to check the answer, to check the solution, to check what they give you. And it's boosted with generative AI. So I use it quite a lot to have new content, to find quickly and easily new information. And also the other one is for coding assistance. And also here you need to be extra careful. In general, you use it when you have an extra knowledge on what you want to build and the programming skill and everything, because you need to challenge a lot the outputs to generate something really performance and not some basic knowledge and basic answer, because you need some, in general, when you do coding, you need something that it's quite specific. So it can be quite time consuming if you do not have the background. But if you understand it, if you understand how to challenge the output, how to use it, it can be quite efficient.
It's great. Isabel, it is a perfect question for you because I know that you in your work, you have to orchestrate very mixed teams of different people. Before I come to this, who you really need on your team, my question for you would be, Kevin just said you have to challenge the output. Do you imagine a world where, you know, you have maybe 5 team members as humans and the 6th one who is an agent, just an agent or like a Gen AI automatically working? Of course, this is polarizing, but how do your people already use it? And do you have access to this as Deloitte? Do we have access to this? And can you maybe elaborate a bit on what Deloitte actually provides for our people?
I really like that picture that you just drew, because that's really how I interpret the AI tools that we can use at Deloitte. So basically, there's no email, no PowerPoint presentation, no, I don't know, like even preparing pictures or slide decks without the use of AI solution, or even project plans, yeah, that I draft with AI first and then iterate. So it really is, you could typically say, I would like brief before our AI tools, I would brief more junior person to come up with a draft that I now give to the AI to come up with a first draft. Doesn't mean that the consultant doesn't have work to do, but rather other tasks that are maybe a little bit more on the research side or enhancing the first draft, but not coming up from a blank page to the first draft. So nobody's not busy at Deloitte, I can say that, but we can really help that. And we have a whole marketplace, actually, as we call it, with a lot of tools, and we can even submit our own ideas and create our own apps. For example, somebody created an app to support the writing of LinkedIn posts. Somebody came up with this idea of writing project plans with the tool. Somebody came up with an idea of analyzing requests for proposals that we get from companies to come up with our first proposal. So we can, each of us can come up with an idea, and if there's enough support and the use cases good enough, then it actually gets developed.
This sounds very great. And I will ask a very provocative questions. And I'm having our target audience, like the next generation of talents in mind. See, who is actually necessary and driving this change? Are partners and directors and maybe senior managers the ones that really are needed in the next phase to have this technical revolution, or who are really typically those who give the impulse to say, okay, the world as you know it, I haven't known it. Yeah, I've not been there before, but now I'm here. I'm a new consultant and I want to work like this. So who are actually the drivers of the change? Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, so it doesn't work without the partners supporting it, that's for sure. Yeah, because we need to have the resources, as I said, you know, and the decision from partners to invest in the whole topic of AI so that we get the tools and that they emphasize that we use AI. But of course, to be honest, you know, the ones who are driving it are the ones who are using it and who are working with it. So I would say the most junior people, when joining Deloitte, they have a lot of power when using that, yeah, and creating new ideas how to use AI. Because of course, you know, the more senior you are, the more you are used to old ways of working, and all new ways of working must come from the bottom, I would say.
Thank you so much. Nuno, you have been waiting for you. But now I have to say, you are one of us who has, I think, a little bit of a smile when I say, oh, in 2022, all of us non-techie people thought that the world has now AI. You must look at this a bit like, no, AI has been there before. You are one of those people who have deep technical understanding for a long, long time, even though it wasn't available for all of us. So for me, it would be very interesting if you could share a bit on a project that you actually work on today, where you face the issues of the clients and that really can be solved by AI, and what has been special for you in any project that you can imagine right now.
Yeah, okay. I can speak about one of the latest projects that we have been working on. It's quite big. It's still ongoing for its size. It could be called a cliche nowadays. It's an actionable virtual assistant with audio capabilities. So what we normally call now an agent, but it's actually it has an inside a team of agents. It's like a team of agents. So the purpose of this virtual assistant is to be seen as a human being. It's supposed to be part of an office building and omnipresent in it. So it should be capable of aid the collaborators inside the building in routine tasks such as, for example, scheduling meetings, checking meeting rooms, aiding in the control of the office itself, like the lights, the blinds, the air conditioning, everything environmental wise. But it also helps us in the business side. So for any specific client tasks, the collaborators working with those clients can have the aid of this virtual assistant to aid them in some specific areas, like repetitive tasks that are very time consuming and some other functionalities. So it's a very interesting project. It's still ongoing and it's going to grow for quite some time. It's basically that. It's basically that. Quite a big project. It's very interesting.
Thank you so much. So, Nuno, Isabel, Nuno said something about agents, maybe a bit on the trustworthy and ethical aspects. What is important if clients really want to be that much on the forefront, pioneering and really adopting this technological wise, even though it's possible? How do they create trust among those who should use it and interact with it?
Yeah, first of all, we distinguish between three things that are to be considered when we say trust in AI. So first of all, it's the technological part, right? So that's, can we actually trust the output? That's, you know, that's also has a lot to do with the data that is the basis. So we always, so maybe you know the phrase, you know, bullshit in, bullshit out. Yeah. So if you don't have the right database and training data, then you can't expect like a good outcome. So, and there's much more to it. Yeah. So that's the technological part. Then we have a legal aspect. Yeah. So what is to be considered legally? Yeah. Because of course, companies are losing trust towards employees, clients, etc., the public, when they misbehave towards legal regulation, and that comes to the press at some time. So they have, and also, you know, they can get fines and stuff, so it's costly. Then the third one, so it's not technological, it's not legal, but it's because you can have AI solutions that are legally fine, that technologically work, but still you can use it for the wrong purpose, right? You can do bad things with, you know, completely fine tools. And so that's what we call ethical use. So in the end, users need to be trained and have an awareness, you know, what can go wrong with AI? How am I supposed to use it? And what do I need to, you know, just keep in mind when using it?
Yeah. This is really interesting. Maybe Azita, from a legal perspective, I mean the EU AI Act, I think you had it in your introduction. This is something that is a new regulation purely for AI. But is it really that easy? Is it really just the EU AI Act that the companies have to in mind? Or is it more so, or is it more complex even?
I would say it's more complex, and I think many from a legal field would agree, and maybe all of you as well, because it's not just the EU AI Act, it's also other regulations from the EU that need to be complied with, and also data protection concerns or intellectual property concerns, copyright stuff, everything in that direction. Yeah, and also maybe even, for example, things that the, let's say, financial authorities say if you use AI in banking, for example. National authorities have something to say too.
It's very complex in navigating through this. So I have a question, Kevin, for you now. I mean, you all have been trained in the field now, and you have a lot of work experience. You are leading teams, and you are you answering your clients' demands and stuff like that. So I guess you really need a lot of superpowers to navigate your job, your day-to-day job. So what are your personal superpowers, Kevin, that help you navigate in this complex new world?
The one I have, especially for this field of AI, with the big boom that there is and a lot of new content that you have every day. For example, you spoke about GPT. In a space of maybe 6 months, we have like 6 or 7 new functionality, new models that arrive regularly. So to keep up with that, it's like I know that I do not know anything, and I do not try to keep up with everything. I prefer to consult myself on the basis, so I can be certain that I can understand quite easily every new content that can arise. And the aim is to do not have a blind trust in my knowledge, because especially in IA, you can be certain of a solution, of some kind of implementation. But 2 months after that, there is a new implementation, a new solution, a new update that will completely change everything. So you need to always have an update, always think that I do not know everything, I will need to check up. And that's why information gathering is really important, especially for AI. You always need to look back to see that if there is no new update, no new solution functionality, or maybe a new model that will permit to enhance more the solution that you will propose to your clients. So it's more like knowing that you will never know everything, especially in IA and in these circumstances.
It's very authentic. Isabel, I have one more question for you concerning the teams. I think we came to this earlier. I know that in your projects, the team that you lead, or you have to you have a problem. Let's make it very concrete for our audience. So there's a client case, and you really need, in the first place, to find the right team for this kind of challenge that the client has, and really bring the best people. But what does best people mean? And can you say something about it so the audience can maybe connect and find themselves there? So who's on your team?
So actually, I'm specifically working in the field of AI ethics and AI governance. So or let's say trustworthy AI. So what I just explained about, the technology part, the legal part, and the ethical use part, that's actually what I combine also from a team perspective in my projects, what I need to orchestrate. So I'm basically the layer overall, yes, who tries to orchestrate all these topics. So who are the people behind it? So technology is probably kind of clear, yeah. So these are the computer scientists, the engineers, the mathematicians. So from a academic background perspective, compliance already gets a little bit more fuzzy. Yeah. So I, for example, work closely also with Azita. So I have legal professionals there, but sometimes in compliance, also people with a business background work, with an engineering background work. So more the people who are, looking at processes, yeah, and are concerned about processes. And then the ethical use part is more about training, is more about change, is about communication. So there I work with communication people, sometimes also philosophy people, and also a lot of behavioral psychologists or organizational psychologists. And as you can imagine, these are super diverse. So sometimes it's hard even to translate between the different academic backgrounds, because just one example that I had today, somebody used an abbreviation in his or her field, and the other team was thinking about a completely other term. And then afterwards, I got a call, the whole discussion didn't make sense to me. And I was like, why didn't you ask that in the call? Because we could have resolved it in the call already, because we meant something completely different. But, in calls, we often use, functional terms and abbreviations, and we spoke about completely different topics. Yeah. And then just adding on that complexity, we also work in international teams at Deloitte, but also with our clients. So even, non-native English speaker speaking English from different academic backgrounds, yeah, that's a challenge, but it's also super exciting and interesting.
Sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm not saying this from what you said, but also as I know how we work. I mean, it's very, I mean, it's great. We can be proud to work in such a field, AI, that is is quickly evolving and quick. So Azita, you can imagine, I have the same question that I had for Kevin. I mean, from your perspective, I guess also you need a lot of personal superpowers to navigate through your day-to-day work. What are yours? Share with us.
Well, I think in the end, all of us, even lawyers, are service providers to our clients, and they're to help our clients achieve what they want to achieve. And so handling all these people's needs and whatever they bring to the table, like Isabel also mentioned, is a huge aspect. And I would say I am a people person and have people skills. And that's one thing. And the other, I would say, is flexibility that we need on the job.
Sounds great. Nuno, what are your personal superpowers that help you navigate in a deep technical surrounding that you are talking to people like us who do not even understand a bit of the technology? What are your personal superpowers that you need?
Yeah, I could really say persistency and patience, but that can be applied to every type of challenge, every type of situation where we are, right? But actually, besides that, I truly believe that a very handy personal superpower that I have is my thirst and anger to learn more. And that's one thing that I've been following through all my entire life. And nowadays, we have so many tools available at us at this current age, all the knowledge that it's available in internet, and we have a lot of tools to use them. Even if we try to leverage Gen AI tools responsibly, we have easy access to all that knowledge. So yes, I would have to say that it's my thirst and anger to learn more. That's my personal superpower.
Thank you so much. Isabel, what's your personal superpower?
Well, I would say what helps me really with dealing with the whole complexities of the AI topic is resilience. So I previous to joining Deloitte and the consulting world, I had a background in professional sports. So I represented Germany on a national level in the sport of golf when I was still in school. And I had, a lot of mental training as we have in sports. We don't have that at the job anymore that much, but we have that in sports. So I've learned, let's say, the art of maintaining structure, amidst, chaos and sometimes pressure, and still adapting to new situations quickly, or when priorities shift, our daily life is kind of sometimes unpredictable. I don't know what happens next week. I do have a lot of meetings scheduled, but it changes up so quickly. So I would say I really strive in this challenge and this unpredictableness, through resilience.
Thank you so much. I thank you at this point again for being so honest and sharing all of your personal perspectives on that. As I'm looking at the chat right now, I have a question that will be for you, Nuno, I think, and then Kevin maybe can add. These are for our technology people here. So I just read it out. So we have a question from Bastian. What will be the hot topics in advancing AI technology? Will it be model, data, or something different? Maybe Nuno, Kevin, who wants to go first? We will want to hear your perspectives.
I can go first. So the first evolution that were on the models was just trying to get the bigger models. So it was a race to hardware. So everybody now is trying to buy as many as GPUs as possible to have the largest model possible. But a few months back, I read a paper that was actually putting an under low limit on the data that needs to be handled by a model. And there were also some tests on the current models at that time. And all the models had an undertrainage on the data. So we are now trying to build bigger models, but we are not feeding enough data to the models to train them well. And I've seen better results on smaller models that were trained with better quality data and more data. So nowadays, there are two groups here. The group that's trying to work on bigger models, regardless of the data and the necessary data for those models, and another smaller group that's now taking more impact, especially in low-tech devices that are working harder on lower, smaller models, giving better data and more data to those lower models. And we have smaller models behaving almost better than bigger models for specific and more important tasks. So that's my take on that.
Thank you, Nuno. Bastian, if you have more questions, you have to further question. Yeah, I think there's a sum up maybe from you. I think we will jump to a question that is not easily be answered, but maybe Isabel can start and also Azita a bit helping. There's a question from Zhao, and he asks, do you think Gen AI will gain conscious one day? And what will be the impact on us humans?
Yeah, maybe I go first. So, it's, Azita, maybe I just take your question, because you legals, you always ask what's the definition, yeah? So I would say what's the definition of consciousness first, yeah? But as I would say, what do we mean by consciousness? So first of all, I would say no, it doesn't gain consciousness, because I would still say consciousness is a unique trait to humans. But what do we actually mean? And this is probably the trend of AI agents now coming into play. So typically when you write something in ChatGPT and you want to have like a report or a text or an email being drafted, you type in the prompt and you get the first text that ChatGPT is writing. So imagine you as a person, you write your first draft of text in one go, and how happy are you with your first draft when you don't iterate it? So I don't know. I never wrote a text that I was happy with in my first draft. So what do? I go back, I have some things where I probably need to research some more. I have things where I, don't like the formulation. I switch out words. So a good email probably needs like 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. So ChatGPT, of course, won't give you the perfect draft also. And what agents are now doing, the human iteration that you probably have, what I just explained, going back, researching, reformulating, etc. That are AI agents doing also automatically in the background. So that's probably, what comes near to consciousness, yeah, and what is super cool and super helpful probably in the business world then, because you just get better outputs.
I actually have nothing to add. That was the whole thing. You even started with what I would say.
Zita, still you will be the next one because somebody wrote, Artyom wrote, I hope I pronounce it well. I think we have a very international crowd. This is cool. I have a question especially for you. I will read it out. So, Azita, how do you ensure that the legal information you feed into the generative to Gen AI, so for example, ChatGPT, is not exploited from the information security, cybersecurity perspective, and so on and so forth? It's a complex question. It's especially for you. Maybe you start with the legal aspect of it, and then your fellow colleagues here help a bit from the technological and also the compliance aspects.
Yes, I think it's a complex question, and also like the answer is complex and a mix of all those fields, basically, which is also where, if this were a case, we would all be working together, I guess. Yeah. First thing that comes to mind is with whoever is your contractual partner that you work with for the Gen AI, you could implement this in the contract, how the data is to be handled. There, you could implement legal provisions and, for example, NDAs and how the input is handled, who the input belongs to. But what goes on in the AI, that's a whole black box thing. And that's also something even us legals, we still have to figure out with our clients. It's also very client specific, I would say.
Maybe your other panelists want to add?
So maybe, from what have we done maybe also internally at Deloitte? Yeah. So I can only speak for Germany because this is very country specific. Yeah, because regulation is very country specific. But first of all, we are not allowed to use the public ChatGPT. Yeah, so we do not use that. Then also even for our enterprise ChatGPT solution, we are not allowed to enter, personal identifiable information or client data without permission. So we do have to have, contractual permission to use ChatGPT for client projects. And this is like a case-by-case scenario. Of course, some would say now, oh, there's still a lot we can do with it. Yeah. It's we need to be very careful there. And of course, we have like all the informations and cybersecurity checks in place and stuff, because we are not only a consulting firm, but also, an auditor, a legal service provider. So there are like rigorous demands that we need to comply with.
We have another question from Henry Fritz, and he's asking which measures are taken by Deloitte in order to overcome the negative impacts of AI, namely the escape of useful data. So maybe I think there's also, I mean, Isabel came across this, and we will have this in every different member state in a different way. But what we also share the experience, and of course, there's training internally. I mean, we also know that our business, the way how we do consulting services, is exactly the same way under disruption than, for example, the media industry, the banking industry, everything where AI will play a role. And so we also need to get ourselves prepared for this. We have, for example, a AI driver's license, which is a training for everyone, to really also those who are not professionally working with AI in the client work, but to have awareness and to know actually how to deal with it. And of course, we as Deloitte, we are not only selling trustworthy AI, helping our clients to install trustworthy AI, but we are also internally having our own structures and our own ethics principles that we try to hold up to in our work. So this is something where you as a provider, you have to walk the talk, right? You cannot only do this with our clients, but we have to do it in the very same way. And we are learning. So this is also why we are very authentically in this change process, because we always talk to our clients in a way like we are also learning. We are also making our own experience. We are also on the way. So this is something where we can really authentically say we have to learn and we don't want to make mistakes. And how do we do this? We keep up with high standards for ourselves. Looking at the time, I think we have really 2 more questions I want to put to the panel. Sabrina is asking, what needs to happen to enter AI utopia and not end up in dystopia? I know, Sabrina, I will reframe your question and give it back to our panelists, maybe one after each other. So imagine now you have an audience. We have a few people, many people listening to us now. So maybe quick recommendations that you would give, to them, like when you are entering a job, when you're entering Deloitte. So what could be something in the AI field that you can give recommendations to in order to actually be part of this new utopia world and not dystopia? Who wants to go first?
I can start if that's fine with everyone, because I've had the strong saying, yes, utopia, definitely. But as I've said, after that, we have to make the utopia work. So we have to do something that it is a utopia. We have to ourselves be ready and prepared and conscious about what we do with the AI and be compliant ourselves.
So living by example is what you say, right?
Yeah, like you said, walk the talk.
Maybe I
can
continue.
follow.
Sorry. So I would say really, you first have to make utopia work. You really first have a positive attitude and really play around with the tools, because, and that is, we get a lot of trainings on that. Yeah. And you really need to emphasize all the teams, what are cool new ways of how you used Gen AI to advance your work. So that's the first thing. And, then I would say, of course, there are certain red flags. As I said, client data is something like that, personal identifiable data is some kind of red flag where I need to know that I need to be careful. Yeah. And depending on the industry, that might be different red flags. So that's what we need to also consider. And then, and then there are further experts. So we do have the quality controls in place. So, of course, I'm responsible also as a project manager that everything goes well. But, I do have, especially at Deloitte, the right people to really guide me. I have this and this situation and challenge, and I have this cool idea how to solve it with AI. How can we make it happen? Yeah, so that it's also legally and responsibly. And that's probably the way to go.
I can move on. As I said before, if you want to go to utopia, you need to understand the dystopia. Especially for IA, it's like some kind of black box for a lot of people. What you need to understand is like IA is come from a lot of work before. It's like the maturity just explodes 4 years ago, but there isn't one IA. There is multiple IA, multiple use case, how to use it. For example, ChatGPT, knowing that it's not trained to give you the right answer, but just to give you the best answer he think of. but it's not necessarily the right answer. Try to understand the tools that we will use, because now it's some new kind of tool. We try to use it on pretty much everything. We need some time to specify on which part it's a good tools, on which part you should not use it, and try to understand where you need to use it and where you need to use another kind of tools, kind of understanding what you use, what you do, to be certain that you can create some kind of utopia without all the dystopia parts.
Thank you so much. I think looking at the time, I think we could have this discussion keep on going for a long time now, for a lot more minutes. And this is just also an invitation. I mean, you know these people. You can reach out to them via the social media profiles if you find them, if you have questions. But we will also have an official debrief afterwards, send you some information. So keep going with your questions. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We are Deloitte, but we are people working for Deloitte. So you reach out to people if you think this could be beneficial for you. I hope you had a great discussion and time with us here. I had a very good time with you guys in the last hour. So looking at the master, I would say master of disaster. I hope it wasn't a disaster. Looking at the master there on top, Jens, maybe you want to have some closing words.
Yes, thank you. So thank you for first of all for all of our participants for really a great bunch of sometimes even challenging questions. Like always, we have been asking ourselves before, okay, will we have questions? How can we prepare? But the good news is, so we ended up, we even were not able in time to answer all those questions. But on the other hand, okay, what comes next? On the one hand, even though hopefully you all share our opinion, it was a really valuable exchange, even though it would be even more nice to see all your faces, but maybe this will happen in the future. So having this said, on the other hand, of course, we can always do better, and we are more than interested to get your feedback in how far we did meet your expectation and which kind of other ideas you have. So please invest just maximum 2 minutes, give us your valuable feedback. This would be the number one. And on the other hand, as I introduced at the beginning, okay, this is a AI career webcast series. So the next one is already on the agenda. Maybe you just quickly make a screenshot. The well-known website will be updated pretty soon. That hopefully we will see a lot of you, or in the best case, all of you again on December the 10th. And of course, you're more than welcome to tell this your other fellows, friends, and bring them with them, because I guess it was crystal clear. It's a huge and very dynamic and complex topic, and not only for tech people, of course, always for business people like I. And I think it is the most important thing to have this interdisciplinary exchange to make the best out of it, and then end up, hopefully, like we mentioned before, in utopia. So thank you very much.
For the last, I just want to give an echo. My colleague, Tatjana Wibusch, she's absolutely great. You can learn so much from her about AI because she has been in the field for a long, long time. She's leading the AI and data practice in Germany, but also, working with a lot of colleagues across Europe. So I highly recommend to join the session and learn from her as much as you can.
Okay. Then, thank you very much. And TGIF, like you say, thank God it's Friday. Enjoy the weekend and all the best. And hopefully we will see you again latest in the next webcast. Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you. Bye.